We continue in Matthew chapter 5, looking at Jesus' Sermon on the Mount. And after the Beatitudes, he says this to those who are gathered: "You are the salt of the earth, but if salt has lost its taste, how shall its saltiness be restored? It is no longer good for anything except to be thrown out and trampled under people's feet. You are the light of the world. A city set on a hill cannot be hidden, nor do people light a lamp and put it under a basket, but on a stand, and it gives light to all in the house. In the same way, let your light shine before others, so that they may see your good works and give glory to your Father who is in heaven." The word of the Lord. Thanks be to God. Good evening, saints. Good evening, sinners. You know what I can't stand more than anything in the world? Aggie fans, right? I'm sorry. That was supposed to be an edit. I was supposed to start with a different intro. Let me try this again. Good evening, saints. Good evening, sinners. Do you know what I can't stand more than anything else in the world? What? That's good, yeah. When you go to a restaurant, right, and they brought out the food to you, and it looks really great, and you take that first bite, and you're thinking, it's missing just a little something, and I think it's missing just a little bit of salt. And you reach over for one of the condiment shakers there, and all of the restaurants these days have got these really contemporary-looking condiment shakers, and you can't tell the difference between what is pepper and what is salt. And I know there's a 50% chance that I'll get it right, so I grab it, and I start to shake it onto my food. The logical thing would be to shake it in my hand first, but no, I think I've always grabbed the right one and start shaking it, and out comes pepper and not salt. And I don't really get the point of pepper, all right? How many of you else do not get the point of pepper? I know it's supposed to spice things up. We don't use it a lot at my household. We've got some sensitivities towards it, and so we just kind of stay away from it. And I know that folks put it out there and recipes call for it, and we usually avoid it. I think there are other spices out there that do a much better job of adding heat to your meal than pepper. Jalapenos, habaneros, some chili powder, those things work out well. They work out much better than pepper. The problem for me with pepper, putting it onto a meal, a nice steak, piece of chicken, whatever it might be, is that it just begins to cover up and overtake the original flavor that's in that meal. Salt, on the other hand, if it's done well and seasoned well, takes what is hidden inside of that meal and elevates it. It enhances it. It brings out what was kind of not there, but you can kind of taste, and it just takes it to a whole nother level. And I like to put salt on lots of things. Steak, chicken, French fries. I put salt on watermelon. Where are my salt on watermelon fans out there? All right? I think I picked it up from my granddad years and years and years ago, salt on watermelon. A couple of years ago, we were at St. Joe's Home for Boys in Haiti, enjoying kind of a final meal, and they have always a wonderful spread of fresh fruit and then some other things, and they had watermelon this night. And I grabbed a couple slices of watermelon, and went and sat down with some of our Haitian friends and having a conversation. There was salt on the table, and I just began to put my salt on that watermelon. And the Haitians looked at me like I was from another planet. And it took me 10 minutes to convince them to take one small bite of that salt on that watermelon. And they begrudgingly kind of caved in, cautiously chewed it. And I watched their faces to see what the reaction, because I thought this will be the best thing ever that they've discovered. And they were very polite. They were like, I can see why you would do that, but they would never do that again. But I like to put salt on a lot of things because it brings out the flavor of life. It brings out the flavor of that meal. Jesus tells us that you are the salt of the earth. You are the light of the world. And he says this to those who are gathered around him that day. This is his first really big sermon in front of a whole bunch of people. He says this as affirmation to folks. He's already gone through the list of the Beatitudes that Pastor Jackie read for us last week. Blessed are those who are poor in spirit. Blessed are those who are mourning. Blessed are those who are meek, for yours will be the kingdom of heaven. He's talking about how God is drawing close to those who feel that God is very far away. And he turns around next and he begins with a statement of affirmation. You are the salt of the earth. You are the light of the world. It's curious what he doesn't say in that moment. A lot of rabbis who were being looked at very closely during this time and thought that they would gather a large following, might become messiahs even, might be the leaders of revolutions. And this would have been a great moment for him to have the war call, to rally the troops and say that you are my warriors, you are my fighters, you are the chosen ones whom God will equip to go and to cast out the Romans. And it all starts here in this moment. He doesn't say that. He picks up two common household items, salt and light, and he says, be like them. Be these common, ordinary, not really that special kind of things in life. Be salt and be light. Why? Why would he say that to us? I think one of those reasons why he would say that to us is because without them, we would really lack out on a lot of life. The point of salt, the point of light, is to bring out that which is hidden and make it known. I like how Eugene Peterson talks about salt in his translation of the Bible called The Message. He says this, let me tell you why you're here. You're here to be salt seasoning that brings out the God flavors of this earth. The God flavors of this earth. If you lose your saltiness, how will people taste godliness? Here's another way to put it. You're here to be light, bringing out the God colors in the world. God is not a secret to be kept. We're going public with this thing. That's how he looks at that well-known passage. You're here to bring out the God flavors. You're here to bring out the God colors of light. And without those two things, we would suffer a lot in life. So how are we salt? How do we bring out the God flavors that are in life? I asked the boys this earlier as we were getting ready to come down to church. I said, boys, Jesus tells us that we're salt of the earth. What do you think he means? And they scratched their head. It's like, am I supposed to turn you over and shake you over my meal? Some things would fall out that I don't know that you would want on that meal anymore. And they said, well, salt helps things taste better. How are we as salt of the earth, how do we help make life taste better for people? It could be pretty bitter at times. It could be pretty flavorless at times. How are we as church, those who follow Jesus, called to help life taste better for others? What we do is we look to Jesus and how he led and how he guided us along that way. The way that he helped to make people enjoy life and make it taste a little bit better is that he was fully present in every moment that he was in. He was fully present there. He wasn't looking to the next thing on his schedule. He wasn't rushing away to get to the next event. He wasn't stopping conversations. He was fully present in life as it was. And by being fully present in life as it was, he allowed other people to be fully present as well. The job of salt is to bring out that which is hidden, and the job of Jesus was to bring out God. God who likes to often be hidden in our lives. You ever notice this about God? This is kind of this pesky nature of who God is, that God likes to hide in places until God is found. And Jesus came by to kind of point out all the places where God is in our life. And one of those first key ways that he was to be fully present in the moment as it is. Because he knew the secret about life. You're only ever given this moment. You're only ever given this moment that you're in. Tomorrow may not come. The next hour may not come. But this moment is here. And it's presented to you as a gift. And so are you able to stop and see it for what it is? Are you able to stop and see those around you for who they are? Are you able to stop and enjoy the flavor of that moment? You are salt of the earth. Be present in this moment and help others around you to be present as well. You are the light of the world, he says also. And at the end of that, in most of our Bibles, it says, let your light so shine before others that they may see your what? Good works. They may see your good works and glorify your Father who is in heaven. We say it after every baptism. We said it, baptism this weekend. We've got 2 baptisms this coming weekend. The assistant minister lights the candle and presents it to sometimes these little babies and says, little baby, you work for Jesus now. Let your light so shine before others that they may see your good works and glorify your Father in heaven. This setting that we sing, Holden Evening Prayer, it's actually intended for the season of Advent. That's when it was written, and that's how it was intended. But we like to sing it in Lent because that's when we often gather at this church during the midweek. And it's an evening prayer, but it has a lot to talk about light. May your light scatter our darkness. May your light shine great on our path. And the light that Jesus asks us to shine is not our own light. It's the light that has been given to us. And all of us, like those little babies, do every Sunday when we have those baptisms, we get our light from Jesus. We call this candle the Christ candle, sometimes known as the Paschal candle. It comes out for the season of Easter. It stands here, and it comes out for every baptism because it reminds us that the light that we're here to share is not just our individual lights or even the lights of our community. We're here to take away and to share the light of Jesus that Jesus gives us. And the thing that I notice, every time that we light a candle from this candle and we give it away, this candle is never diminished. That candle continues to burn. It doesn't grow any smaller by taking that one candle and giving it to others. And that's the power and the beauty and the wonder of who Jesus is. When we say that he is the light of the world, we take our lights from him, and he is not diminished. But he's made greater through each of us. And our job is to help scatter that light, to scatter the darkness, to send the darkness away, and to bring out the God colors of life. Earlier this afternoon, I was at the hospital praying at the bedside for one of our members. His mom is on hospice care, and she will probably enter life eternal here within the next couple of days, if not the next couple of hours. And sometimes when you walk into those rooms, it can be a pretty sad situation. It can be pretty dark. It can be pretty uncertain. But today there was a sense of joy, because she had been struggling for a couple of years with her health, and she knew that her time was ready, and she was ready to go and be with Jesus. And so in these final moments, she was ready to be there as well. But my job in that situation, our job in that situation, is to acknowledge that, yeah, this is sad. There is some darkness here. Death takes away our loved ones. It interferes in life. It disrupts things. But death is not the only thing that's present here. There is life. There is light. And the beauty of this moment is that her light will never be extinguished because of the power of God's grace. And your light will never be extinguished because of the power of God's grace. That's how big God's claim is over each of us. That after you are washed in the waters of God's grace, you will never not breathe in your life. You will never not live. Death may be a temporary stopping ground for us, but God has transformed the process of death so that we can inherit something that is eternal. You are the light of the world. Your candle will never go out because Jesus's never goes out as well. Amen.